Hi, welcome to my channel. How are you doing today? From whichever part of the world you could be watching this video from, I hope you are doing okay. My name is Dr. Lupe and I make videos based on health. I give medical advice. I create public awareness on some of the diseases that people should be careful about. In this video, I'll be talking about 5 habits that could make you or result to you becoming obese. So obesity is a very important topic because if you look at the population of the world, it's a high percentage of people that are actually obese. So what are those habits that can make you become obese? So let's not waste too much time. Let's get right into the video. So the first thing on the list, and a lot of people are very fond of this, is an intake of food that contains a high level of calories in excess amount. Now, there are so many type of foods in today's market or in today's world. Most of them are being processed, fast food type of food that people actually want to get fast, and then maybe they might have something doing or maybe they are busy, so they want to take those kind of foods, to save time. And then to some people, it's not because they actually want to save time, they just find a kind of joy or a pleasure in taking those kind of foods. So they know very well that if they take these things in excess, it could actually be injurious to their health. Some of them know, some don't know, but let's assume that those who don't know, maybe it's because they don't want to know. But a lot of people know. People that take this kind of foods, they know very well that if I take this thing in excess, it will not be good for me, but yet they go ahead. So if you're that type of person that enjoys food that has a higher level of calories, then you should try to minimize it. It's very important. And then let's say locally now, it's viewed as, if you are actually rich, if you're a big boy, a big girl type, if you go to a restaurant to buy burger, to buy meat pie, to buy these fast foods and processed foods. Now there's nothing wrong with it if you actually do it with the right intent, but it becomes bad when you are actually taking it in excess that your body can actually handle. So what normally happens is your body will find other areas to deposit that particular food that you are taking in excess, and over time it builds up and then you become obese. So the second one on the list is lack of exercise, or I would say a sedentary lifestyle. So I will not actually put too much emphasis on this or blame a lot of people, in the sense that some people, that type of work requires them to sit down a lot. They are sedentary in lifestyle, kind of, their work is actually requires them to sit down a lot. Let's say doctors, for instance, or lawyers, or accountants, people that sit a lot, bankers for instance, they sit a lot because their type of work requires them to actually sit. But I would advise that if your type of work requires you to sit, always try as much as possible to create that time to at least involve in some physical activity or some activeness, so that it will kind of help you. Don't just rely on the fact that because your work requires you to sit a lot, then you just relax. It will over time make you obese, and it's very bad. And then there are some people that are actually, it's not because they're at the top of work, they are just lazy. You know yourselves now, you just don't want to do anything, you are lazy, you just wake up, you sit down one place with your phone, you are always in your phone, you are not doing anything, your own is to wake up, eat and sleep, just stay one place. It's very bad for you. Because I don't want to talk about the complications that come with obesity, because that's a whole lot of video. It will take long. I'm just mentioning the habit, and it's not good for you. So try as much as possible as you can to indulge in some physical activity from time to time. Most daily, it shouldn't even be weekly. Daily, try to do something that is active, that requires you, to expend some energy out of your body, so that to reduce the storage of those fatty acids in your body that over time increases and then makes you obese. The third one, I will not actually say it's a habit though, but I will say it's more like a cause. So if you're actually diabetic, most especially diabetes type 2. So in diabetes type 2, there's blood glucose level which is elevated, right? There's a lot of glucose in your blood. But then the insulin that is being produced cannot mop up this glucose, cannot cause glycolysis to occur so that the glucose can be broken down. In the sense that the receptors that are responsible for this insulin that is produced by the pancreas to bind on are not functioning well. So in situations like that, it becomes very difficult for this glucose to be mopped out. And what happens in those cases is whenever glucose is not favored by normal glycolysis, it will be channeled into other pathways that can utilize that glucose. One of the major pathways, which is lipolysis, which converts this glucose into fatty acid. So whenever there is too much of this glucose in excess over time, it will be channeled into another pathway that can actually use it. So if you are diabetic, then it's most likely that over time you might become obese. So the fourth one, and a lot of people are still fan of this, intake of excess amount of alcohol. Now you want to use alcohol to kill yourself. You want to take 10 bottles, 20 bottles, you want to use alcohol to redesign your future. It's not actually advisable. I can still make a video to tell you the complications that come with alcohol, but that will be another long video. So excess intake of alcohol can also be injurious. You can eventually result to obesity. And most times people who take excess alcohol, the type of obesity that they have is truncal obesity. The truncal obesity is just mainly in their trunk. Let's say the chest down to the stomach area. You see the stomach being distended, so big, and the chest, it's just usually the trunk that is bigger and then becomes obese. That's the most common type of obesity they have. People who take excess amount of alcohol, they have truncal obesity. The fifth one, actually, this one is for ladies, and it's self-medication of contraceptives or pills. What I mean by that is this. So you actually want to prevent yourself from getting pregnant. No problem. That's your life. You do as you wish. And because you heard your friend telling you there's a pill that you normally take, so, well, good. You didn't actually consult any doctor. You didn't consult any medical professional or anybody about it. Because most of these pills, they work for other people in different ways. What works for you might possibly not work for another lady. There are different physiological variations. So what works for this person might not exactly work for you. So, but if you consult a doctor or a medical professional, they will know exactly, after running a few tests or maybe checking your body, they know exactly which one will be good for you. That will not give you too many adverse effects or complications. But because you did not want to do all this one, maybe you were too afraid that doctor will ask you, why are you doing it, or ask you to bring your husband and all that stuff. You went to the counter or you went to the pharmacy and then you bought all the ones that your friend told you, and then you are taking them blindly. Most of them can backfire because they have an effect of, there's a progesterone, a hormone for pregnancy, and an estrogen that prepares the egg for fertilization. So some of these drugs have the ability to suppress these hormones, and when that happens, a reflex action will occur in your body that will add weight, and then most times you become overweight. So some women who are on pills, most times if they add on weight and they become more, they add on weight and they're probably overweight. Some become overweight eventually. And then if care is not taken, you progressively become obese, which is on rare conditions, but in many conditions it could result like that. So if you want to actually take pills or contraceptives, please go to your doctor, ask him, doctor, please, how can I take this one? Which one is good for me? I want to. If he tells you that you cannot do it, if you are living in developed countries, it's very common for a lady to walk to a hospital and get contraceptives. That one is common. But in developing countries, remember I said developed countries. Now in developing countries, most especially African countries for instance, we know we have our own culture and tradition. So for a lady to walk into the hospital and tell the doctor, I want birth control, whatever. Now, the doctor too will be asking you, those kind of questions. So some women prefer not to go through that process, so they just don't want to. So these are the 5 habits, and if you are probably doing any one of them, just know that you are progressively going to become obese unless you retrace back. Most especially the first 2 which I mentioned, intake of high level of calories or food that contains an elevated amount of calories, and a sedentary lifestyle or lack of exercise. These ones are 2 very important, because even the management of obesity is usually required that the person have to modify their lifestyle, and it has to do with your diet and your physical activity, that's exercise, which are the most suitable technique in managing obesity. But in some cases, some people might have the type of obesity that cannot be managed by just diet or lifestyle. So they might need drugs, although those drugs have not been clinically proven, right? So the best suitable technique is usually diet and lifestyle. Sometimes some people who are overly obese, they undergo surgery known as bariatric surgery, where they have to actually surgically remove some of those fat. It gets to that level. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you can support me by subscribing to the channel, hit the like button, also share this video across to your friends. I know you have people that might probably need to hear this. And then if you are obese already, this is not a video to condemn you totally, right? If you can modify your lifestyle and your eating habits, very important, it's definitely going to be a positive change for you. So share this video across to your friends and relatives, anybody you know who might find this interesting, even you yourself, to your anybody. And then I will leave my email in the description below, so that if you have any personal question you want to ask me interactively, maybe you don't want to leave that in the comment section. So see you in another video.